All right, click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribestar. Got a mailbox. You can mail me some comics, preferably none that have had the SJW localizer treatment. So what happened is things are getting the AI. People are learning that you can use AI to replace localizers, which is actually going to be a positive. Not because AI is so good, but because the SJW localizers are so bad, and they are on Twitter being triggered about being replaced by an AI. So, well, I mean, if you can be replaced by an AI, what does it say about your abilities to translate? So what happened is you have an anime for some product from overseas. It's not in your language, so somebody has to translate it, which you think shouldn't be a problem. You just follow the intent of the original as closely as possible. That's how you and I logically think. Oh, well, it's the artist's original intention. I'm going to stick to that and respect the artist as much as possible. And the SJW looks at you like, what are you, freaking crazy? It's not why we take these positions. That's why SJWs are so... They will take less money if they can be in positions at the nexus point, pivot points, leverage points where they can exert undue influence, like stuff like this. That's SJWs. They do not think like, oh, I'm just going to honor the artist. No, that's not how the woke pronoun furry BLT crowd thinks, because they're bullshit parasites. They see themselves as freedom fighters who are fighting a war against the Chads. Anything that you might enjoy, they have to destroy because they hate you, and they know that anything you enjoy. Oh God, what did one of them said something like nostalgia posts are like istophobic dog whistling, and I'm actually make a video on that on Odyssey and BitChute and Subscribestar, because it's true, because things are getting so bad now that even nostalgia posts from like 20 or 30 years ago, it's like, oh my God, times were so much better back then. People looking at it like, yeah, they were. What's going on? What's the future hold? It's like, well, just extrapolate along that timeline, friends. Like, istophobe says what? Good luck calling like 90% of the world Hugo Boss fashion. And the thing is, they were well dressed. It's like I don't see the hate on that. Anyway, SJWs think differently. They think they're fighting a war against stuff you enjoy. It's I don't know. It's mental illness. Like, they seem to be Hollywood LARPers from '80s movies, where the blonde-haired football jock is the bad guy, and they're the geeky nerds. And it's like, you're just LARPing from Hollywood script, which was written by just the worst people on earth. It's mental illness. They think that this translation is their battlefield, that this is their D-Day. Every morning they get their coffee, dilate, get in front of the computer, translate, and then they put their own values into the well, they probably take a Kumi consumer break for whatever it is. Probably furry and My Little Pony diaper fetish prawn. Those are probably the three worst things I've seen on the internet that are still on this side of legality, Don't say wood chipper in the comments, though it's tempting. I know. A lot of these people are like, they're victims of a broken society. It's just not their fault. So, istophobe says what? You don't want me on my furry Little Pony. It's like, that Little Pony's for kids. Don't get me wrong. It's a great comic book. If you're like under 15, it's fun, well written story. I read it as an adult to see what all the fuss was about. It's nothing to. It's like, it's just cheap plastic garbage made in China. It's crap. It's not like high quality ceramic collectibles or something. It's just garbage. It's just landfill. It just goes from China to America for 10 years, and it goes right into landfill. It's like, gee, if we were a nation, we'd have some kind of ban on imports. It's like, yeah, we stopped being a nation, I think, with Clinton, NAFTA, what was it, that 92 to 2000, I think. Where's that going with this? So these people don't care. It's all connected. I know it sounds a little tinfoil hat, buddy, it sounds more than a little. So you see the other videos on the other platforms. So they don't care about the original intent. They have to replace the original dialogue with all their, Frankfurt School nonsense. It's not a phase. It's like, if they look back on the original authors of all their, like, Engels and Lenin and Stalin and Marx, and like, you look look into their lives a little bit. Like, these were horrible people. None of their ideas work. It'll work if we do it this time. Yeah, but you could say that about the Japan, Germany, and Italian belief systems. No, they couldn't. That's not possible. Like, it's all possible. It's like it could all work with different people. It's like if you changed everything about it, it's like none of their arguments make sense. They're just Hollywood consumer. Anyway, so they use all these ridiculous buzzwords and fad language of the current year, and they think like, no, this isn't a fad, this isn't a phase. It's like you look through American history. It's like, yeah, every period, every 20 years, there's different fads and phases, and there's cycles within cycles, and what is going on right now is just going to be a fad. This is a little bit of a darker fad because in a few decades they're going to look down like, can't believe I sterilized myself for a fad. Why didn't anyone stop me? Where were the adults in the building? It's like, well, it's not a nation; it's a commercial zone, so there are no adults in the building. It's like, so this big pharma industry, $billion industry. Suddenly, you guys trust they have your best interests at heart, but when they had big tobacco scientists and pharmaceutical scientists and like insecticide, pesticides, and agricultural scientists, it's like you guys were fighting against DeSantis and like, oh, those scientists are paid off to put pesticides in the groundwater and yeah, but no, this new BLT thing where you're giving kids like Teva pharmaceutical cross-sex hormones. It's like, yeah, trust the science, it's peer reviewed. But if the insecticide scientists are paid off, then couldn't these Teva pharmaceuticals and Sackler family also be not acting in your best interest? No, that's not possible. It's different this time because this it's just different. Nazi. Yeah, I'm the Hugo Boss because I don't want you to remove body parts that you might need in a few years if you want to have kids. That totally makes sense. Totally logical, reasonable way to. Yeah, obviously we're the bad people for saying, you probably don't want to remove those parts. You're gonna, they will bring you decades of pleasure to you and your partner. Plus, they're functional. You can, go outside and like with the breasts. You're a mammal. Galactose. You breastfeed your child like we've done for, I don't know, millions of years, tens of millions of years, as we came down from the trees, arboreal life. And for the men, it's like standing up to pee is quite a convenience. It's, are we in, I'll say Sodom and Gomorrah instead of saying that other period of history. Yes, we are. Prepare accordingly. Am I saying form local groups, jogging clubs? Absolutely. This is getting way off track. How come your YouTube channel just sits there? It's like, well, I'm not really a YouTuber. I'm more of a Odyssey BitChute. Anyway, so these people, who are you calling people? Yeah, at this point, I don't know if NPCs are really people. Anyway, people want the art in its original form. They don't want some blue-haired weirdo putting their current fad nonsense values on it. The Japanese artist who created it has different values from the SJW. In fact, everyone in America has their own values, and people don't watch these shows or read these comics to hear what the obese SJW thinks. They want the original, whoever the Japanese or the Korean who created this thing. They want to hear their viewpoints. An example given here is something about lollipop prawn, which is a Japanese thing. How we feel about it doesn't matter, buy the cartoon or not. Obviously, it's degenerate to me and probably to you, but it's not to them because they're different people. They have different values. It's a different culture. That's part of diversity, is understanding and recognizing that. So either release it in its pure intended form or don't release it at all. But the SJW interpreter calls it a problematic age gap, but that's not what the author wrote. That's at Localizers SJW viewpoint. The SJW is making the decision of interpretation for the viewer, but the viewer is able to decide for themselves. This is a left-wing thing in general, where 25-year-old blue-haired obese idiots think they know how to run the world when even their cats end up leaving them to safer to live on the streets. So these woke Twitter idiots are ending, and they're going to end up ruining manga like they ruined the comic industry, which they definitely have. They're, that's a hot word. They're insects that go from, they're like a fire that goes from industry to industry, ruining it with Bolshevism, kind of a metastasizing cancer. Anything they touch, they end up destroying. And Tom Brevoort has a tweet on today about the X-Men, a couple days ago on the X-Men, talking about all opinions are welcome on his reboot, which is going to be
put a chick in it, make it diverse, lame, and BLT. All opinions are welcome except for the ones that are istophobic. And so anything that disagrees with his crappy X-Men comic is going to be interpreted as istophobic. These people cannot accept that other people have diversity of thought. Anyway, so AI comes along, and Japan has decided that it's easier and cheaper to just use it to translate in some cases, which has the SJWs on Twitter outraged that they won't be able to put their woke cancer in the story. But this is pretty much just the way AI is going. If it can perform simple tasks like this, the market demands it. Unfortunately, because it's not good. It's not great, and I don't know if it's ever going to be up to snuff. Like CGI has been around for decades now, and it still is just missing something. So the market adjusts to it, where it becomes standard, and the localizers end up becoming a thing of the past. Which in this case is funny because they're, like I said, the AI is not that good. It's just the woke SJWs are so bad. So it's tough call. So they're going to be probably two standards for art going forward, where you have the human-made, high-quality stuff, and then the cheaper industrial AI stuff, where like with comics or art in general, you can have the backgrounds be done by AI. And for a lot of people, they're adjusting that. Like someone wants to put a comic book out, they know the AI can do a lot of backgrounds. It can do a lot, and then like you can come along and clean up the hands and the fingers. Like if the story is important to you, the writing aspect of it, and if that's the first way you can get something off the ground and start a business, who am I to tell somebody not to do it? It's like they can come along and fix the AI's mistakes, and it might be generic at first, but if it's the option of not putting a comic out there or saving, you know what I'm saying? It's like you really have no choice because the market has to adjust to it. So, and the thing is with American comics, they're so bad right now that it does not matter if the art gets worse. And a lot of it's not great to start with. The writing is all SJW, commie, current year fad of whatever is. Yikes, my guy! It's not a fad. It's like so this stuff that's a fad didn't exist 15 years ago and is not going to exist 15 years from now. It's not timeless. It's not connected to something with the human experience. It's just a bit of commercial nonsense. Well, okay, yes, it just happens to be some commercial nonsense. That's true. That's why people are not buying our comics. And somebody on Twitter goes, "Oh gosh, they're not buying the SJW comics. So Comicsgate should put their comics in the stores, and the store should just snap those graphic novels up." And I'm thinking like, yeah, it's a great idea, but like, wouldn't Mark Waid, call up the comic book stores and try to interfere with them? Like, if comic book stores did that and they started grabbing these graphic novels from Comicsgate, like they got a dealer discount, which would be totally worth doing, and the store started filling up with this stuff and selling these graphic novels for $25. Totally, that would be a great idea, but how would the mainstream comic industry react? What would the Gail Simones and the Mark Wades and the Brevorts and the whoever, all those other nonsense SCWs, who actually a lot of them are like 300 pounds, kind of weird. It's like you see them, they're all double chin. It's like, is writing and drawing comics just like an eating thing? How would they react? They'd lose their mind, and they'd set up boycotts, and they'd threaten to burn the stores down, and like how they'd react. Mark Waid called up Antarctic Press. He released a Facebook post about saying he was gonna get involved in this kind of thing. It's like, why would these Twitter kids are just such effing idiots? Anyway. So there's going to be two standards for art, where you've got like this crappy stuff, and then you've got like the high end stuff. And as for doing the AI translations, yeah, fair enough. It might be a bit clunky at first, though it is, it's a learning program. Computers get better. It gets better based on the language. But it's better than the obese cat lady telling us that everything is problematic, like whatever current fad they're in. Oh, Superman holding up a global warming sign with his boyfriend. It's like, most of your audience is straight, and they don't want to see Superman proposing to his purple haired boyfriend. It's like, it's just not their worldview. It's not their lifestyle. Listen, intolerant. It's not intolerance. It's just most people they're just straight. They're just wired straight. It's not like they don't hate non-straight people. They just don't think about them. It's just, we just can't wrap our heads around that relationship. It's like, they need representation too. Yeah, but this is a business, and the Venn diagrams of having a profitable sales and having a potential audience, they're not overlapping, and they don't seem to understand that. And they say this stuff for movies, and they go, oh, you touch grass, and you go, but you guys yourselves are not going to watch all these woke movies. And they don't have an answer to that because they're fundamentally not going to go watch these movies. Go, why is that? Why is that? It's like, well, because they don't want woke SJW stories either for whatever reason. It's like every once in a while something slips through the crack, but it's not that often. Anyway, so yeah, a clunky AI translation is going to be better than whatever these obese cat ladies are coming up with. Because even if I agree with the lollipop stuff, for sure, I agree with them on that. It's, it's not our cup of tea, but it's what the artist intended. I would rather respect the artist's intent, even if I'm not going to be interested in that kind of thing, than have somebody interpret it. It's like, well, hey, a localizer, if you wanted to make something, just make something yourself. Like, oh, we're not really good at creating. We just do bait and switch with name recognition. Yeah, that's been going on for years right now. It's like you're going to see everything is going to be rebooted. Eventually, they're going to start like doing more than one version of a reboot, which is going to be just friggin' weird. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.